The following podcast is rated G for Gammin. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or Gammin audiences. Welcome to February, them yarns with Carly and Aaron. What's going on, Nagus?
Nothing. Just cruising around like I always do. How about you?
Dad life. Me, what is it? Nah, nothing, same. What can I say? There was, you know what? There was a murder this week, though.
What?
Yeah, it was a murder at the Super Bowl, but we'll talk about that.
Oh. I thought you were talking about someone in your neighbourhood chat or something. I was like, she didn't say nothing about this. She really set me up on this one.
You're like, am I a witness?
Let's say that for episode 12 or 15 or whatever we're up to.
Oh, tell me, how's work going?
Work is cruising along. It's getting busier and busier as we proceed into the year.
Are you in currently an identified position?
Yeah. I'm in an identified role specifically created for First Nations work or Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander work, whatever language you want to use in that space. I know it's evolving into First Nations as we speak.
Yeah.
I'll still use Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander.
In terms of identified roles, tell me about them. Tell me about your experience and who maybe don't know about what it is. Set it up. Explain it for us.
Okay, so for those who don't know, an identified role is a position in an organization or a business that is, and there are different versions of what this looks like. So in the police, for example, they have police liaison officers that are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, or they also have other cultures as part of that because the goal is that those people from those cultures can connect better with the mob that they're trying to engage with, right? And in the HR space, there's been an increase in identified roles as we work out that if we can work better with Murrays, blackfellas, Koreas, whatever you want to call us, then we know that overall the organizational change is better and we become more inclusive and a better organization. So that's where the evidence stems from, is that, like mob connecting with mob gets better results. There's been some studies done it in the health space and in other areas. I think cultural safety actually come out of New Zealand from the deadly Maori nurses down there talking about how they can improve services, and then we've just expanded it into how do we work better in business and schools and blah blah blah. So that's the background, I guess, of why we have them and why they're good to have. And then I guess, segueing on from last episode's yarn, there's been an increase in the number of people who are utilizing mob's positions to their own personal benefit. That's not actually what's best for the mob. And there's a few different scenarios, right? Like you have your island, fruit of the islands who, have fallen recently from the tree and floating along on the Murray grapevine and getting positions that they shouldn't be in. But then you also have just newly identified mob who, it's great that they're connecting with their culture, but the first thing you should do when you connect to your culture is not jump in an identified position, because identified positions are for people who can connect with mob. So if you don't know you're a mob, you need to get that experience first.
Correct. And how do you get the experience?
You got to get in the community. You got to get to NAIDOC where you got to make some teas. Or
you got to do the time.
Yeah, you got to do some work. It's not just your connection is real regardless of your blood quantum, but your community connection has to be developed. You don't just get that just because you found that out.
Yeah.
You need to develop that, so
it's a fine line, right? Because there's one side, and you play devil's advocate. There's one side of community, I guess, or people that are trying to find their identity, their Aboriginal identity, because of stolen generation and generations that were taken. And it is an issue that I guess, let's not hide about it. Let's be real about it. It is something in our community that we're all trying to navigate. And we have been for so long, and it seems to be getting more and more complex. As the time goes on, in
Yeah.
society and in our community. As the time goes on, we're seeing the effects of colonization more and more. And people
Yeah.
who say, oh, like colonization, you know, it didn't work, we're still here. Yeah, we're still here, but we are not untouched. Like, we have to be honest about that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of things that come to the surface that are results directly of colonization, including people who don't know their identity. That is a fact.
And I think that's what we're talking about here is like knowing your identity. So it's great that you found that connection to, to our people, but you still have to develop the identity that goes with an identified position. Like it's an identified position because you can identify with the target audience. So if you're new to finding out who you are, or you're um, something else, then I
Mm.
think you can't have that connection because the whole reason why you're in an identified position because you identify with that group and they can identify you as well. So
It's like going
uh,
for a job
yeah,
for science and you just
yeah,
have never grown up with science. So
exactly right. Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not going to
exactly
know
right.
what to talk about.
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with skin color. Like
Absolutely nothing.
you can be white as the pale
What
moon
did you
and
just call me? How dare you?
I'll go get some sun. But
Light skin issues. Nah,
yeah, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're not saying
exactly.
you need to have a brown face in the seat. We're saying we need to have somebody who's connected to the culture in the seat because that's how we're connecting with mob. That's how they know what the issues are. How do you know what the issues are for a community that you've never been engaged with or been a part of?
So then
Uh,
in lies the issue of how are people getting in these roles that we all know at least one or two, or we've worked with people, teams of people that
yeah,
have come in to a role that have never grown up, either maybe identifying as black or, like you said, have just found out they're black,
mhm.
have no real connection, don't talk like us, don't speak like us. Like, what do we do? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do they get in these roles?
I think it's a bit of privilege, really, but also like privilege in that you're in other spaces already. And so then when other positions, so some of the things I've seen is that they're creating these new positions, and then somebody who hasn't really identified before sees this position as an opportunity. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, actually, I am Aboriginal or I am Islander, like Torres Strait Islander, and I'd like to. So like before that, they weren't really interested in being mob. But when they saw the mob position, now they're like, oh,
That's me.
that's
I
great.
can identify with that, not the
Mm.
work that comes with it, the
Yeah, yeah, exactly
responsibility
right.
that comes with it. It's like, oh, I could be in that to learn about maybe myself. Like, is
Yeah,
that, yeah, like playing devil's advocate, maybe people are like, if I can connect with a community within a workplace, maybe, or the work that is supposedly going to happen, maybe I can learn more about my culture. But it's not, that's just not the way it works, right? It's
no.
like,
An identified position is not somewhere where you go to learn culture. Like you're supposed to have the culture and then teach that to other people, right?
correct,
Um,
correct.
And even like it doesn't. And when I'm saying culture, like you don't have to go hunt a crocodile. Like that's,
Look, it
what
would
I
help
mean.
all of us if you
I
could. Let's
mean,
be
yeah,
honest. No.
that's right. There's no way I'd be in any identified positions, but yeah, there needs to be some sort of connection to the community. So I don't care what that connection looks like, but you need to have an established connection before you do any of that. And I think,
What if they start saying like next time we go for a job in an identified position, they're like, and they just change the questions up. So instead of like,
yeah,
do you have like connection? Like, can you tell me who the like the local mob are in your area? And but the next question would be like, can you hunt crocodile and turtle? Like, what would you do?
yeah, yeah. They're like, when was the last time you killed an animal to eat it, and how did you prepare it? I'm like, what?
And do you have any of the fur or its nails to make
Yeah.
jewelry with? Don't stop
How
it.
many how many emus did you kill to make those earrings?
Did you make your own NAIDOC earrings or did somebody else make them? Stop it.
Yeah. And I think the reason why it's a serious issue for mob is that you have these people who are coming from disenfranchised, broken places where they're trying to, build themselves up. And then they're seeing somebody who hasn't lived that life, hasn't experienced that discrimination, hasn't felt the death of, sorry business and all that sort of stuff from a cultural perspective. And then they're just sliding into it because,
Mm,
it's weird because it's not like a certificate you can get, and we don't want to be like, here's your black card. You know what I mean? We don't want
yeah.
to be like that because that's the whole reason why we got away from it in the first place with the certificate of originality. But
Yeah.
there needs to be, some sort of accountability for mob. When you're in an identified position, like you got to be doing what's best for the mob, not just doing what's best for you.
Yeah,
And
and you
yeah, and I
can't you
guess
can't
there's,
skip
yeah,
that. You can't skip that
yeah,
experience and think
that's right.
that at whatever ripe old age you are, that you can just go, well, I'm an adult and I've learned about this and I have a right to apply for things like this because I am. Like you can't just skip
Mm,
that because what you're doing, you're erasing all of mob's experiences. It's our trauma, our everything. You know, as light skin or dark skin, whoever you are, you have that shared experience, that shared knowledge, those shared
mm.
nuances. You can't skip that. You can't learn that in a day. You're not going to learn it all in this identified position. So,
And you're erasing the fight, right? Like
yeah.
that's the whole, like we got here because mob fought for these positions. They fought for to get the evidence to say, having white only places is not safe.
Yeah.
There's that many mob that have, put themselves on the line for people like me to have the position that I have, and that's not lost on me. That
Mm,
I know where my mob have come from. I know like what my education levels are, my mum and my nans and my grandparents and etc. Like what that looks like for them, and how much harder their life was compared to mine. But because of their fight,
mm.
I'm able to sit in an identified role and connect with other people and be able to tell people like this is the mob's experience and this is why it's not working. So if you don't have that and you know you don't have it, like you need to step
Step
to the side
aside. Yeah.
and start learning that stuff.
Yeah.
We're not saying you can't ever have it, but like you need to make space for more who have that experience so that they can teach you what that looks like, but not get you don't get paid the big bucks while they teach you.
No, it just doesn't work like that. And then if it in companies as well, they
Mm.
are in a hard position, right? And organizations and places, they're in a
Yeah.
hard position because they're trying to do the right thing ultimately by creating
Yep.
these roles that'll. But at the end of the day, it's about results. If you want
Yep.
results for your company, your business, your organization, you need to find the right people to match that. And it's about doing your research. It's about asking the right questions. And I guess, we're at the mercy of these companies who don't know what to ask, right? And then all these recruitment agencies or the people who are employing, and then they get in, or there's a fine line between discrimination of asking too many things and racial discrimination and actual acts that protect people for jobs. But yeah, then it leaves us, I guess, as mob who are in those workplaces working with these people, and we've all worked with one of them at least
Like,
one time in
at
our life.
least one time in the last,
Bro,
I'm not
how
going to
you
say
said it the other
times.
week. If you can't code switch, why are you in an identified position? So you said that.
Exactly.
How else do you know if someone is that type of person in a role, like who have just identified and who have come in? Like, how do you know besides code switching?
I think I know like there's certain little markers, right?
Mm,
So for me, it's when you're talking about things like um, Jan 26 or NAIDOC or like significant events
yep.
and how they speak to that and how they are influenced by what that looks like. I really think, and people can, some people don't love NAIDOC like I do. I think it's Black Christmas. I'm,
How do you not
I'm,
love NAIDOC? How?
I
What do
don't
you
know. Some
mean?
people, some people just aren't into it, but
That's crazy.
um,
That's when you
I,
know. Nah, yeah.
that's when you know. But yeah, so I think little things like that, and also it's the hardship questions, right? Like, and that's not true for everybody. You got like your sister over in the center there who's really not displaying any cultural capability in some of the things she's saying politically.
That's your
Um,
sister, by the way.
she,
Your cousin, your sister,
she's
your
on that. If you
niece.
draw a straight line from where your mob is and where her mob is,
Nope,
it's
no
a
song
straight
lines connect
line.
us. None of them things.
Um, so there is some political ways that people might sound different to for what most mob are thinking, but yeah, there's just I don't know, and I don't really know how to clarify it, but you just know when you know because you're sitting down there yarning and you're like, hmm,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna
You,
have to teach you some stuff.
you know when I know is when I say, oh, like the biggest one is obviously where's your mob from, or like
Hmm.
where'd you grow up or whatever. Like most mob will say, where's your mob, like who's your mob,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
not an attack. First of all,
No.
people that go, I don't feel like I need to answer that, bam, red flag. Dun, 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 dun.
Unless you have a family history where you've been removed from that part of your
Mm,
culture, it's not an attack. You know what I mean? And even though
It's
it's
not an
not an
attack.
attack, they're just asking you a
It's how we
question. So
connect. It's how we yarn.
yeah,
It's how we make a kinship. And
yep.
once I asked somebody this, and they said, they just said like a suburb.
Wait, say that again.
They just said like a suburb. I'm like, oh, so like, where's your mom from? Like, and they're
Oh
like,
my goodness.
um, just like Chermside.
Oh my,
And I'm like,
what the? Oh my goodness.
and then that
I'm
moment,
trying not to swear on this
I
podcast.
know,
I'm
right?
trying really hard, but you
We've been
cannot tell
good.
me.
We've been good, but
Oh my goodness.
that stressed me out because then my face can't lie. So I'm
No.
trying to be like, when someone's asking you where's your mob from, that's mob trying to connect with you. That's us trying to reach out and actually like, oh,
Yeah.
hello, trying to be welcoming, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
an attack, but
And if you're good looking, they're trying to see if you're dateable or not.
and you're trying to see if you're related, and if you're not, then yeah. I actually read something the other day that came up on Facebook, and it was about the way that confirmation of Aboriginality is verified in a particular state, not Queensland, we'll say that.
Yeah.
And they were basically saying that they are making it confidential so no one else can know. So they're saying, often it requires like formal documentation or recognition by an external body. So it's usually like your hometown or like where you've grown up, where your mob are from. It's usually a housing co-op, or it's a medical co-op, or some Aboriginal community controlled organisation. But it was saying that they're going to make it just so that it's more confidential, and the information. So I'm like, I don't know about that. I feel
That's
like
massive red flags.
massive
That
red
sounds like it
flags.
made from somebody who was in an identified position that shouldn't be in an identified position. Now, that's a perfect example of the work you get when mob aren't
Yeah.
connected to mob. Yeah, because I'm a part of a board for my mob,
Mm-hmm.
and so those decisions come to us. So like if
Yep.
somebody's a part of there's four different nations in our group, and they'll send through, and they've got to have their family tree, like how are you connected to an apical ancestor, or
Mm.
what's that look like? And yeah, there's been times when we've been like, I don't know who this person is. Like I
Can't
can't see,
trace.
or they've got their family connection wrong. Like my
Uh,
mom's crazy. My mom can tell you like seven different strings of our family tree,
yeah.
and I'm for that remembering the person I work with sit next to.
Yep.
And she's like, oh no, that Carly, oh yeah, that's what's the name's girl.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, blah blah blah.
You know what? I'm turning into that auntie.
Oh no, you're not. No,
I am, and
I told you we're in an auntie face.
I
I
don't
told
know
you.
how and where, and you know what? That's a lie. I know exactly how and where. Sitting around black women, Dorising
Yeah.
and listening and going,
Mhm.
how are we related to that person? How's she my auntie? How's she my uncle? And then my mum was
Exactly.
that auntie. She knew everyone as well, could trace them down to the T.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who their father was, who maybe their father was,
Yeah.
the discrepancies around their mother and father.
Exactly.
That is a black family tree. And if people
Yeah.
can't trace that on you and you've written that down, like it's going to be real hard for you.
Yep. Shout out Barker, Black Matriarchs. That's why the song's for. Like you got to
Yeah.
respect that. That's the backbone there. You can't get past it. They're like, because you can't get past it because without them, you don't know who anybody is and you'd be
If it
married
was,
up to your cousin.
honestly, if it wasn't for black women in our culture, black fellas would have just forgot, as in black
I
men.
know.
Yous would have just
Yeah.
forgot, and
Yeah.
no one would
Yeah.
know who's
Yeah.
who, and we'd all be cousins. Seriously.
Oh, you're lovely. Oh, I'm thinking of your cousin. Nah, it doesn't matter. We don't know that stuff.
Doesn't matter. My dad doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
that's exactly it. You know how I knew I was working with somebody who was in an identified position and should not have
Yeah.
been there. She said one time, she said at an event in front of
Oh no.
all the Migaloos at work. I know, brace it. She goes, because sovereignty was never succeeded.
No, you don't.
Bro, I'm not kidding. She and me and the other mob that were
Oh,
like
no.
worked, together for a while and all
That's
looked at each
terrible.
other and we just proper sunk into the chair. And the worst part was like she was in a management position. So she was above us, you know what I mean?
She was one of the leaders.
She was one of the leaders, so that's what she was doing a presentation during.
Sovereignty was never succeeded.
Bro, it was for NAIDOC week. It was for NAIDOC week, and I just sunk into my chair, bro. I wanted the ancestors to grab me from the land below, take me out. I'm ready. I'm ready to become an ancestor today. So she said that.
Wow.
And she also said, because, it always has been and always was Aboriginal land. She messed it up, brah.
See, this is why we need video, because if you can see my face right now, I wouldn't even need to say nothing.
You know what?
That's wild.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
100%.
Sorry, had to be done. When she said sovereignty was never succeeded, bruh, took me out. There's just signs. There's always signs. But then sometimes I would get like a bit confused because this person, she looked the part, did not sound the part, had no absolute connection, no will to yarn. You know what else? This person said to us, and I'll never forget. It was the very first time we all met as a team, and she said, "Shall we go and have a chin wag?" And me and the other mob, we looked at each other like, "What's a chin wag? What is that? Are we getting performance managed? What is this? Like, what's a chin wag? You mean a yarn? You want to go and have a yarn?" And she took us into a meeting room, to a very unofficial meeting room, and sat on the other side of the room from us and looked at all of the black people on the other side of the room and went, "Okay, so shall we meet each other and find out who we are?" It wasn't should we go for a walk? Should we grab a yarn, coffee? Where you from? Where you mob from? Nice to meet you, Dudley. None of that. Should we go and have a chin wag? Oh, wow.
I haven't heard chin wag in a long time. I can't remember the last time I heard chin wag, to be honest.
It's probably Alf on Home and Away. It's probably the last time you heard it.
Yeah.
Far out. I've never heard it from black people. That's why you don't hear it very much.
But like you said, sometimes people just don't have that. They don't have that lived connection, and they just need to learn it as they go. They shouldn't be in the manager's position.
It definitely shouldn't be in the manager. But you know what? It makes it a culturally unsafe space for a mob. It's like you make those connections. You try your best in identified positions to make everybody else around you understand who you are, who the mob is, our issues are. You're working very hard in identified positions. People, like, if you're actually mob, you're working 10 times harder because you're educating everyone. You're trying to change work. You're trying to go to communities. You're trying to you're doing lots of work. You're doing all those things.
Doing the smoking ceremony, all sorts of,
Do you know how many smoking ceremonies I have organised? Water ceremony at one stage, bro. I've done it all. Do you know what I mean? So you're working 10 times harder. So when you get in there and then someone comes in or someone's already in there and they aren't the guy, they're not like us.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Sorry, had to do it. But it's true. This is what happens. It makes it culturally unsafe. Everyone it's like a cat amongst the pigeons. Mm-hmm. And you just don't get the results. So I don't know what the answer is to it. What do you think the answer is?
I think the answer is it's a bit like The Voice. So like The Voice, but for black fellas. And it's like different black fellas, like an old auntie, an old uncle, young millennial.
Oh no, the voice for black people.
The voice for black people.
The real voice, the one that got voted in.
And so when they talk, they got to talk, and then if mob turn around, then you get accepted. If they don't turn around, then guess what? You don't get the identified position. That's it.
Sing the blackest song and if they sing like Xavier Rudd, we're not turning around. We're not doing it. Bless Xavier. Shout out to Xavier. I actually do like his music.
So he's pretty good. Like, can we choose somebody else?
But some people get that's their choice. So, okay, wait. If they play Mitch Tambo.
Yes. There you go.
Sorry.
Press the button. Press the button.
If you're playing Mitch Tambo, I'm not turning around. Do you know what I mean? If they're like, what's your song of choice? And they play a Mitch Tambo. No, I'm not pressing that button. Not happening. Yeah. What else would the questions be then if you're turning around in the chair?
Oh, no, I'm not saying there's like a set number of questions. I'm saying like you just got to talk. Like there's something you gotta like have a yarn.
You got to do a yarn.
And if you say you chin wag, then nobody turn around. And if there's a few little red flags there, like they'll say, all right, now you got to choose a karaoke song.
Yeah. If they're choosing someone if they're not choosing the Eagles or Creedence, I'm not turning around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. But if they start singing like Bach or something, okay, that's a pretty good indication you've done some work.
If they choose Whitney Houston, I want to dance with somebody, correct, I will
Yes,
turn
correct.
around.
Yes, yeah,
Just some
exactly.
things.
If they choose Taylor Swift, no, they don't get to turn around. You are not here. You're not accepted. Sorry.
Sorry. If they don't
Play
say Eela, if they haven't mentioned that once, if they haven't mentioned TG, sorry, not pressing the button.
I think the introduction will be like, if you're in Queensland, they'll be like, which way? And if you don't reply, and if you start looking around for which way that somebody's going, then the floor drops and you just drop through the floor, and then the next person steps on
The
the
next-
step. I think it's pretty simple. I think we can run this. So this is how we're going to do it for the identified roles. Like we can't look at who they are. Doesn't matter what color your skin is. If you can't code switch, snip snip.
And you know what? Why people who are hiring these people, you have to have your chair turned and you got to get a list of things that are given to you from black people to say, unless they say some of these things or talk or hear like this and say it like this, don't turn around.
Dancing around.
Script, get the paper, chuck it. Next. That's it. That is literally the answer. Could you imagine?
Yep.
And then that's just someone's role.
That would be my full-time job. I would be the greatest at that. Like just put me in there. I do that many job interviews. I can tell you if you're going to be deadly or not. I already know.
Me too. Let's make a business. No, Gammin.
Let's make an identified voice business.
Let's talk about that. How long? Here's a question for you. How long after you're finding out you're Aboriginal can you start an Aboriginal business?
17 years.
The same amount of time of our life expectancy, you're not allowed to make a black business.
No, it's 17 years because that's how long it takes to get from birth to the end of high school. That's how long it's going to take you from learning your black fella to being able to work in a black organization.
Damn, you rough. 17 years for Nagus. Isn't it interesting that people do that though? Like they'll go out and start an Aboriginal business just out of thin air. And you're like, who are you? You just popped up and showed out. Like, who are you? Like I've recently discovered this and I've seen like certain people that come up on like a timeline and I'm like, I literally like message people. I'm like, do you know who this person is? They're literally like out of nowhere. They're now a person. Like who is this? And they're selling something. They're on all the things. I'm like, who is this person? Where did they come from?
They're probably the same people who've changed those laws in that state where you can make it easier to be identified now. Like
there's a fine line between calling it out and being a hater and all those things and blah, blah, blah. But it is an issue. Because ultimately this money should be on to people who have that experience. You have to have that authority to be able to do that. And that authority, that cultural authority only comes with growing up, being taught properly.
Knowledge doesn't just get implanted in your brain. It's not the Matrix. Don't just like take the blue pill and all of a sudden you're a black fellow. Like that's not how it works. You gotta.
Could you imagine? Like let's flip it. Like imagine if we just both woke up white.
Oh no. I don't think it'll be a good-looking white person. I've got to admit. I think.
Yeah, well,
my complexion only works with one color.
You know, like my mix is my dad's Scottish. You know, my dad migrated here from Scotland. You know, straight from Scotland. My dad, let me tell you, he says I hate white people. This is my dad. This is my dad. Okay, my dad's name, by the way, is William Wallace. Okay,
goodness.
Anyone who doesn't know who William Wallace is, he was a freedom fighter in Scotland when the UK invaded the Scots like they did everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first people to stand up against them and cause like a whole like freedom fight against that. So, you know, William Wallace was a G.
He definitely was.
Yeah, my dad is not, and his name is William Wallace the Brave, they call him, right? This is
William Wallace the Brave, that's deadly.
William Wallace the Brave. My dad is not William Wallace the Brave. My dad's got the name. He's not the brave. He'd like to think so, but if you chuck anything near his foot, he'll jump 100 miles. But my dad is like so funny because he came to Australia, migrated here. He migrated to Adelaide and then travelled around Australia a fair bit and then ended up in far north Queensland, met a black woman in like, I think it was like early 80s. And ended up with like an Aboriginal woman and had me, obviously the most perfect child you could ever imagine. So could you imagine having a Scottish father named William Wallace the Brave, right? Yeah. And a black Aboriginal mother who's staunch and hard-headed. Like I was never going to turn out to be...
any other way. You had no choice.
No choice to be like, as if I was ever going to be calm, right? Yeah. But my dad, he would literally say, I hate white people. I'm like, what are you talking about, champ? You're white. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm Scottish. Because in his mind, no, we're not, the
that's right.
palms,
I think some Irish people think like that too. Like, no, we're Irish. We're not white.
right? It's that
I think it's the colonized people are like, no, we identify more with the
resistance.
colonizers than we do with the resistance than we do with the colonizers.
Yeah, but it's funny because my dad, like, he grew up with all of my family. You know what I mean? He grew all of us. So all of my dad's side is in Adelaide. So I didn't actually meet them properly till I was like 14 years old. So I didn't really know. I didn't connect with that side. And my dad was, as every black family kinship, you just get called uncle, right? And all of my cousins, they've all got the same. We all just call them uncle, and they're all types of mixes between white and black and this and that. And my dad was just one of them. So he always, and I remember my dad saying to me a couple of years, he was like, you're just a black woman, like he goes, because once you've grown up and that's how you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he came into our family. So my dad, like, he says Gammin, he says all these things. Mind you, has a Scottish accent.
Your dad might pass the chair test.
He might pass the chair test, the identity test. My dad would pass it, actually, compared to some of these other mobs.
Deadly.
Stop it.
Deadly.
Culture killers.
Culture killer. Deadly. Culture killer.
Stop it. Bro, the remix mastered version of Culture Killers.
That is deadly.
Shout out Courage. He loves the shout outs too, by the way.
He deserves them because that is great. It would take me 7 years to make that little clip. This lad probably just was like, doop, doop, doop. Yeah. I am deadly. There you go. I am
deadly. So Courage, for those that don't know, a friend of mine over in New Zealand, he actually makes all these beats for me. And like he's got the keyboard, he's got all the things. Like he's just such a creative person. So the shout out Courage. You know what I think we should also do on the podcast? And I feel like this is like, you know what? Let me tell you about it. When I was in radio in Townsville and in Murray Radio, or like I've done a few places, especially in Corey Radio as well, I used to do, so over the years working in black media, our mob love a shout out.
They do.
And I want to bring that back because traditionally our mob aren't listening to our black stations much anymore. And that hurts me as someone, but I'm not helping that because I'm a podcaster now and I'm like steering people away from traditional, media. But I feel like that's something that we can bring into this podcast.
I think so.
I used to get letters, and I've still got them from the prisons. Yeah, from the prisons up in Stewart Creek. Shout out to all. They're not going to hear this.
Stewart Creek. I'm pretty sure I got a cousin or two in there.
Yep, and I probably gave them a shout out on radio. I used to get at least 10 letters written to me every week with song requests and shout outs. So it was really mad because you know what? It actually got me to know who the mob around certain areas were because I would get the last names. And so now when I hear last names, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're from Palm Island, they're from Ingham, they're from here, they're from up, That's how I became that auntie that knew all of the line as well. So I feel like let's do a shout out segment on Them Yarns, the podcast, so we can do shout outs, old school style. Who do you want to shout out to? What do you want to say to them? Don't give me any subliminal messages as well because I will bust you.
I love subliminal messages.
Subliminal. Isn't that a word?
Subliminal. I don't know how you say it. You know the way. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. So let's do that. I like that. That's a part of the traditional Aboriginal media I want to bring back. If you have a shout out that you want to give to somebody, hit us up on the podcast on Instagram or Facebook, and or you can email through Them Yarns the podcast. Find us, give us a message, or just inbox Nagus and I, and we'll do a series of shout-outs every day. That's so cute. Let's do it.
That's deadly.
Brother, I did say there was a murder. Bruh, the Super Bowl happened this week. There were so many things within it. You and I both said we're obviously Kendrick, to the point that I can't even listen to Drake anymore. It's so bad.
Yes.
It's one of those things like you can't unhear and can't unsee now.
Exactly right.
It's very hard to come back from. So...
One of the funny memes I saw from the halftime show was how Drake's in Australia is like Drake's probably the only person watching the Home Reno show on 7-2 right now.
Oh my God. Like he is in Australia and he's the furthest that he could be from the Super Bowl. Did you see he's at his concerts? Because like Culture Killers, it's a segment that it's a hard one, but he's been cancelled. I don't like cancelling. I don't like it, but he has been.
He's done.
He
He's
is done.
done.
Like, what's the comeback from Drake now? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know if there is. Like, I think he's literally time of death. That halftime
Just
show.
just call it.
I'm just calling it like it's too much.
I don't know what the resuscitation is. And, like in our generation of growing up with hip hop, we were alive, you and I still remember this when Tupac and Biggie, when that
Yeah,
feud was going on, I remember it. And the shock of seeing both of them get killed. And to this
yeah, it's
day,
crazy.
nobody has, and then seeing them get up at the awards and they're doing the riff back and forth, but no one thought, oh, this is going to end up in death.
No, that's right.
And it has. But I'm like, is this how it's going to go? Because I'm thinking if I was in Drake's position, oh no, I'm putting a hit on Kendrick.
Yeah, you have
Like
to. That's it. That's the only way he gets out of this if it takes care of him.
if he takes care of him, but everyone's going to know it's him. Like everyone, and then he's going to have. See, in my mind, this is how I was thinking. I'm thinking like Drake. Okay, I'm like, oh, great. Now I have to kill Kendrick. I've got to set that hit up because there's no way I can go to my kids and they see that I got
No,
absolutely murdered on the
destroyed.
mic
Like international TV.
internationally by this man. There's no coming back from this for me. My kids won't think I'm a good dad. There's all these things.
Yeah,
Like I'm starting to get the Drake panic at this stage because I'm thinking I put myself in a Drake shoe and I didn't like it. And then
yeah,
I'm like, oh, that means though that I'm making it a solid decision to die myself because the moment I put
yeah,
the hit out, him and his team are coming back at me,
yeah.
and that's it. Like, do I make that decision to
You have
save my
to.
reputation forever?
You have to. Like he's got enough money. He can just take him out and then go hide in the Bahamas or something somewhere. Like he can't recover from this. Like
There
I
isn't.
don't know who can save him. Like I don't know what that.
And
I'm
no
trying.
one's
I'm
come to
just trying to
defend
find
him
how much.
either.
He's got a LeBron tattoo, and LeBron's like dancing to the song. He's like, well, yeah, you're going to have to get that thing removed because
And he got rejected by Serena. And then
yeah,
Serena is there dancing. She's doing the crip
he's
walk.
dancing, doing the crip walk
That
to the diss track. Like that is amazing. It is so good
it was
because that's
so
exactly like
powerful.
didn't they date or something? Isn't that?
Yeah, the rumor was that they dated and then she like rejected or she broke up and then the lad has taken disses at her through music. Yeah, and that's why
Oh,
Kendrick's actually put that you better not speak on Serena.
okay, that makes
Yes,
sense.
don't speak on Serena in Not Like Us. And so then she's there
Dancing to it. That's
dancing.
amazing.
It's crazy. So,
That's really
and just
amazing.
just even like Samuel L. Jackson being Uncle Sam.
I didn't get it when I first saw his face. I was like,
Mm,
oh yeah, cool. Of course you're going to bring one of the
yep,
most, famous voices in the world, uh, and who says the mother whatever word
yep,
into a halftime show. And then I saw the outfit. I was like,
yeah.
that's awesome.
And
So,
and just the political like climate right now over there, and you had Trump there, and then him saying, Kendrick, don't be ghetto, like keep it like
yeah,
sensible for
he was
these
an
white
he was
people.
Uncle Sam. That's who they're saying he
Mm-hmm.
was. Like that is deadly. Like there's so many little things like that that they put in there. Like the dancers'
Mm-hmm.
outfits like represented the flag,
Yep.
and then there's one still where they all fall, and they're all like in the shape of Nazi symbols.
Yep.
But it's just like a quick thing. So they're all dancing, and they all fall at the same time, do the Nazi symbol, and
Mm-hmm.
they get up and dance again. So if you're watching it, you don't see it, but
Yes.
then you see the still, like it's like a perfect swastika. Like,
Swastika, yep. Yeah, and even down to like obviously the hoodie colors, you got the Crips and the Bloods. He was the first person to bring them all on stage in like 20
yeah,
plus years. The culture is what he was talking about the entire time. Black culture, not just hip hop culture, black culture. It's Black History Month. He brought out
yep,
Serena, he brought out Samuel L. Jackson. He's having shots at the president and white America. He's having
yep,
a massive shot at Drake. And there was a whole thing about is he gonna sing it? You know what I mean? Like there's no way he's
yes,
gonna sing Not Like Us. And he said that they like to sue. I want to sing their favorite song.
yeah,
Like what a shot! And then boom, just sings it. And then say Drake when he said that with the smile, diabolical.
yeah.
Revive me,
It was,
bro. I was at work. I'm surrounded by lots of Migaloo people, and I'm
yeah.
going, oh my god! I'm sitting at my desk going, like I'm gasping, dying.
I didn't realize until I looked at like I saw all the things later, but the set that he was on was the game as a game
Yep.
controller, and then like his last line talking about turn the
Game
TV
over.
off, game over.
Yep.
I was like, bruh, like how, like what, who, how many people are writing to this? Because there's so many.
There's so
I think I saw an
many.
article that said there was like 59 different eggs that he left
Yep.
throughout the performance.
It was
And
so smart. And people are
Mhm.
like, oh, that was boring. The people who were saying who was boring have absolutely, obviously, no idea about black culture, first of all. It shows white privilege straight up. And then, like, I was having a couple of debates online, like, which
Yeah,
I
of course you
don't
were.
do. I wasn't doing, but I was doing it on another podcast page that I follow. It's a podcast called Can We Be Real by Michelle Laurie. She's amazing. So someone had posted it on their, like, internal group saying this was so boring. And I'm like, nah, nope. And then I just basically schooled them. And then, but I actually was like, turned the guy around. He's like, oh, I'm actually interested in this now. I didn't realize there was so many nuances, so many, like, references.
I think that's the whole thing. Is like there's so many things that happen that people just went, and like I definitely wasn't aware of them. Like it took me, I was sitting there
Yeah.
staring, like one because you're sitting there like dancing and like rapping with him, but then two, you're like, oh, I wonder what that is, and I'm like, oh, that's deadly. Oh, like so it's
Yeah. You have to
yeah,
watch it a few times to actually go back and just read some of the forums and then actually pick up on all the references. If you're Drake, like you're done, brah. Game, like you
yeah,
said, game over. Like there's no coming back. But he doesn't seem to get it. But people are
no,
still, some people are still showing out for him. People are
yeah.
still,
Oh yeah, there's still some people like I saw under a few articles on like a few like little Instagram or TikTok videos. People still in the comments like, "Oh, this was trash. Drake's better." Blah blah blah. I'm like,
what?
oh,
Don't be stupid. It was clean. It was a clean
listen,
performance, very orchestrated, very deliberate. I loved
yeah,
it. And then I saw, I think it was like the same week, let's go back to Kanye.
oh
And
no,
sorry,
what's your uncle done now?
he's Ye now. His friends call him
Yeah,
Ye. Now
yeah,
listen, we talked about this the other week. I'm a Kanye
yeah.
fan. I hate Ye. And I'm really gonna differentiate them. Is that how you say the word?
Okay. Yes, differentiate. Yes.
Differentiate. Ooh, we speak a
Differentiate.
big. I'm separating these two fools because
Yeah.
Kanye, I love Kanye. I miss the old Kanye. I love
Yeah.
that Kanye. Yay, this guy, I can't,
He's
bro.
he's too much.
Kanye actually said, well, sorry, what are we going to call it? Let's call him Ye because that's the guy that's
Yeah. All
talking.
right. We'll call him
Ye's,
Ye when he's acting like your uncle, and call him Kanye when he's being good again.
does he get a pass because he has autism or bipolar? That's the question that's going around the internet. Does he get a pass? I don't think he does. And this is someone who's got autism. I'm going to say that. There's a few things
Yeah.
I've said and I'm like, damn, what? Like, do you know what I mean? Because that's just the way our brains are wired. But I'm medicated. So I'm
Yeah. And you're not as rich as him.
not as rich as him.
No,
I don't have enough
he
power.
he can afford better treatment than what you're able to get.
And he
Like,
doesn't seek it out. It's really
but,
dangerous.
and I think people would like we got to support people, neurodiversity, but like people were trying to say that when Elon Musk did the Hitler salute, that there's an autistic reaction. I'm like,
No. Mm-mm.
I've got plenty of mates with autism. I've never seen them turn into a racist. Like
Exactly
it's,
right.
I
And
think that's the same here that I'm saying here for Ye. Like, there's certain characteristics that can be attributed to that, but some things, no, not it.
exactly right. He has since this week, he said anyone who tries to battle Kendrick Lamar will lose unless they're an evil genius like he is. So he's basically saying he could be Kendrick Lamar in a rap battle.
Oh no.
I do not believe that. And as a Kanye West hip hop fan, he's he's an amazing producer, not the best
Yep.
rapper. He was never,
No.
but he never said that at the beginning. He was always very like, I'm not the best rapper, but you won't beat me on producing music. And that's
Yep.
a fact. Some of his music has really shaped this era of hip hop. But
And I think
now,
that speaks to the skills, right? Of like
yeah,
some of the autism skills that some people get, lucky enough to get. Like
yeah,
it's a super skill that like he can probably
he
hear
hears
music or
things that other
process
people
things like
don't.
way better than anybody else can.
Yeah.
And that's his superpower that he gets from it. Not everybody gets it, unfortunately, but
Creatively, yes. People can say, oh, I don't like his clothes, or I don't like his shoes, I don't like his music. You can say that, but you can't say that he hasn't influenced, because he has. You know, look at Kim Kardashian. She's now made a whole business of Skims after being with him, which is exactly what he was selling anyway. It's what he dressed her in, which
yeah,
is sick because he was dressing her, but He loves fashion. If you have never watched the Kanye West documentary on Netflix, like I'd encourage everyone to go watch it because it gives you like a proper insight into his mind. And it's actually very sad to watch because you watch him when he's young and innocent and he's hanging around, you know, Jay-Z and all these others trying to, you know, come into the game. He's got his backpack on. He was just this weird, you know, loner, autistic guy, creative guy. Very good on the track, can make like a beat, can influence everything. And then his mental health has just declined, you know, and it shows in the documentary. And it's showing now because this week, like, it's very hard to be the Kanye West, the Ye fan, because every 2 to 3 years he's obviously having medical episodes. Like, he's very unwell. And in the past, you've seen it on the Kardashians of when Kim's like, oh my God, he's having a, you know, and they're trying to get him into a treatment center or they're trying to help him. And he's like bawling out because he's got too much power. He's got too much money. The average person would be locked up, you know?
Exactly right.
And then he's tweeted this week as well, I'm a Nazi. Like, just crazy stuff, you know? And you're like, oh, he needs help.
He does need help.
And you can't get a pass and say it's because you're autistic or because you're having, you know, whatever's going on in your life. Like, that behavior is crazy. It's hurting
wild.
So many people. And his thing is like, can't be cancelled. I think on Culture Kills, we're cancelling Kanye.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem. Like he just wants to keep pushing the limits. Like that's his artistry. You know, like some people that like the whole thing is like, this is not enough. Like I need to create more.
Yeah. I think he gets some type of something from the reactions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, yeah, for his artistry, he's like, how do I shock and awe people again?
Man, he just, to the point that Elon Musk unfriended him on Twitter this week.
Goodness.
If Elon is, you know, you're like,
when
your freedom.
When actual Nazis start not supporting you, then you know you're going too far.
He's like, nah, I'm not dealing with this lad. He's crazy. I'm just going to like back away real quick.
Exactly.
And, you know, sometimes you listen to him and he can say things that make complete sense. Like he can, and you're like, he's the guy that's going to say the things that people think but no one is going to say but sometimes needs to be said. He has a lot of bravery, but sometimes that bravery is just like complete ego.
Yes.
And it just goes so far. So he's since deleted X. He's off X. Yep. No doubt we'll see him in the White House soon with Trump.
Wearing that hat. I don't know. I'm in a complete loss with Ye. I love Kanye. I miss the old Kanye, but I can't stand Ye. So I'm officially cancelling. Here's my cancelling stamp. You ready? Cancelled. Yep.
Cancelled Ye. Kanye, I still have hope for Kanye. Yeah. He's in there somewhere.
So did we just cancel Drake and Ye in the same series?
I think we did. Yeah.
We get some power. We have some power.
This stamp of culture killer stamp.
Killer stamp.
Damn.
Done.
We're going to have to get one of those gavels. Is it a gavel?
Yes.
Let's get one and let's put culture killer on it and we can bang, bang. So every week. I don't like cancelling, but when it's needed, we have to do what we got to do.
Got to protect the culture.
Damn. Okay, the culture is officially wrapped up. We're going to discuss, though, our own Super Bowl in the next upcoming episode of Them Yarns.
Yes. Looking forward to yarning about the Indigenous All-Stars game. We both had some very strong opinions. Maybe not similar opinions, but strong opinions on the game. So that'll be interesting.
We may have our own doggy debate come next week. Hey? Yeah.
Go on then.
Go on then. All right, bro. Thanks for this week. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Catch you, y'all.